The following is an encore presentation. Welcome to Joy of Business with host Simone Milasas, a dynamic business leader with a difference. Simone has founded and operated many businesses from a young age and has always done business differently. Today, Simone is the worldwide coordinator of Access Consciousness and travels the world presenting Joy of Business programs using access tools and empowering people to know that they can create business in a different way and make money doing it. Simone Milasas, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hi everybody, welcome to Joy of Business on OMTimes. You're with Simone Milasas, your host, and I'm joined by one of my dearest friends and one of the most favorite people I love doing radio shows with, and the person I work with a lot, and he's known to also be called one of my husbands because I think a woman should always have more than one husband. As Jonas Svensson. So welcome, Jonas.
Thank you. As the same, I should have more than one wife. So I have that.
Exactly. Now, listen, that people may think that's bizarre, who's listening, but one of the things that Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, has always spoken about is like, maybe you need more than one man in your life, like a woman. And it's like, it's true. And it's like, I've got the most wonderful partner in the world. I absolutely adore him. You know, he's incredible. And it's like, but then I have you. And then I have another friend of mine, Chris Hughes, and I have Gary, and I have Dane. So I look at myself as having 5 different husbands. And how did I get so lucky? That's the deal that I've made with myself.
She only do the fun stuff with one of them, though, so we are a little bit bummed about that, but we'll get over it.
Hey, Jonas, this is the Joy of Business, so you get to do the fun stuff with me too. It's business.
Okay, I'm with you.
So the topic for today is deal and deliver. So, and we're saying deal and deliver in business, but you know what? I want to actually broaden the deal and deliver, so it's not just in business, because, well, I look at business, you know, I look at your life as business as well. It's like every moment you're buying a house, and it's like if you've got a family, and it's like whatever you're organizing, like if you're organizing your kids going to school, and it's like, or, you know, and you also your business, it's all part of creation. And to me, business is creation and creation is business. So the topic is deal and deliver in business, which to me means deal and deliver in your life. So we're going to cover a little bit about that. And what, Jonas, can you start up with like, what is deal and deliver? What would be your description, your way of talking about that?
Cool. Yeah, that's a really good question and a really good start. And I do like what you just said about including it in all pieces of your life as well, because like all your relationships you have, for example, they are also affecting, contributing to your business and to your life. So it's really important to get this piece to sort of work over the whole life of your own. And for me, and how I see it, is that it's really, really important, just in general, to be very clear with people. And then the second part of it is the other way around, also that it's really clear what you sort of can expect. Because expectations is probably one of the things that sort of contracts or destroys or creates limitations in general. And one of the greatest things that I have seen is creating habit with people and businesses is when that delivering and deal and delivering part is not clear at all, it always ends up with somebody being cranky at another one, or somebody expected some things and they now felt like they lost or that they didn't get what they were expecting. And it's so important to hold both way part of it for me.
Yeah, and one of the ways I would like to sort of get, so what is deal and deliver? And it's like, you know what, you're about to work with someone, or, I mean, I've got a story about buying my house with my partner. I often call him my husband. And I was sort of freaking out going, oh my God, we're buying this house. And it's like, you know, and I looked at it going, oh my God, that means I'm committed and I have to be with this person for the rest of my life. And he looked at me and he went, Simone, it's just a business deal. We can always sell it. And I was like, oh, wow, that's easy. And immediately it gave me more choice. It gave me this freedom to go, oh yeah, cool. What if we were actually creating together? So, and one of the things that most people look at with Deal and Deliver is they go, this is the deal and this is what I want and this is what you have to do sort of thing. And it's not about getting someone to do what you want. It's about having awareness. It's about the awareness of what someone will deliver and what they won't deliver. And it's also the ability to change it.
Yeah,
a lot of
and that
people have this thing of going, go ahead.
Yeah, that part when you said it's about awareness. It's not that you're putting somebody in the corner and now they have to deliver this, and if they don't, you have a reason to shoot them down. That's not what we're talking about, huh?
No, and it's like, I mean, contracts. It's like, I mean, okay, so recently there's 2 contracts that I've broken. But the deal was that I had a contract with someone, I paid them X amount of money. Once they delivered the job, then I paid them the final amount. And this is with 2 things, and I paid them a fair amount of money, like in the thousands. And in 1 week, I got rid of both of them and I said, this isn't working. It's sort of obvious that this relationship is not working. It's like they weren't creating what I thought I'd sort of, what I desired, like what I would put as in like what I signed up for. And they got it. It was obvious. But I was like, okay. And they were like, well, you can't have your money back. And I'm like, that's fine. And I'm not, and they said, you don't need to pay anything else. And I'm like, that's fine. And Gary Douglas has taught me so much that, I could see that people would stick it out and keep with what they had signed up for because they had a contract, because they'd already paid a deposit. Both of them actually happened to be the same amount of money. It was $4,000 to each one. So in truth, I've just $8,000. I may have just flushed it down the toilet in some way, but not really, because choice creates awareness. And I have so much more awareness of who I'd like to work with, what that looks like, and not just sort of going by somebody else's opinion or that they were recommended. It's like I have more information, more questions to ask, etc. And the amount of freedom it gave me when I just went, oh, this isn't working anymore. And I was like, okay, we need to change this. We need to cease it and stop, and I'm going to find somebody else. And it was like, okay, great. And both parties were happy. So just because you have, like, a contract is pretty much made to be broken. Just because you have a contract doesn't mean that someone is going to stick to it or that you have to stick to it either.
No, it doesn't. And if we just bring that example with you and your partner up, it's like if you do have a conversation or a clear sort of deal and deliver between each other, it can also be so much easier because, like he said, but hey, no, it doesn't mean anything forever. It just means that we can sell the house if we want to split up. That's also deal and deliver. That means that, okay, so we're actually not binding each other to that we're now gonna own this house forever and ever, and the ones that wants to break that deal is the bad guy. So it suddenly creates space and choice in your relationship too. And that can be applied straight over to a business deal as well.
Totally. So right now, it's like anywhere that you've got, Jonas brought up again buying the house, and it's like so many people go to the meaning. And it's like, what if you made so meaningful about the deals that you've created that if you didn't make it meaningful, would change your entire reality. And everything that is times of God dealing when you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So what if you made so meaningful about deals that you have created that if you didn't make it meaningful would change your entire reality? And everything that is times of God dealing when you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Because if you make something mean something, like it becomes meaningful and significant, then you actually don't have this spherical awareness of what else is available. So great question to ask. What possibilities are available that you've not yet instituted, that you have not yet asked for? So what possibilities are available that you have not yet asked for? And everything that is times of God's willing, we destroy and uncreate it.
Yes.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Nice, good, strong, yes, I love it.
So that part of when we do make things meaningful, it creates this charge, this energetical charge. And that is sort of creating a no-choice universe where there's sort of no way out. Like so many times when you feel cornered or pushed into a corner and you don't know what to choose, and it feels like all your choices will just be a bad choice and you will lose in any way, or you will be the bad guy in any way. It's because that charge is attached in the whole sort of business deal. And a relationship, it is truly a business deal. And if we would look at it like that, it would be far easier to make changes and choices that would actually create more for every part involved. For every part involved.
And pretty much it's like the joy of business, like what we talk about, and it's like using the Access Consciousness tools, functioning from the joy of business is, it's the ability to change, the ability to choose, the ability to process yourself out of any point of view, which is like if you're sticking to this deal and you're making it mean something, it's sort of like you create that limited point of view rather than the ability to change it, the ability to change any point of view that you're functioning from. So, which then creates this like I said, that spherical awareness, and it's like, if you look at that and get the spherical ball, and it's like spin it 180 degrees, another 180 degrees, another 180 degrees, another 180 degrees, another 180 degrees, and keep doing that. And it's like, that's where your awareness should be functioning from everywhere. So everywhere that you haven't allowed yourself to have this spherical awareness of possibilities where you destroy and uncreate it, time to go dillion, right? And I'm green bad, pop and pot, all nine shorts, boys and neurons. Over to you, Jonas.
That was so easy. You basically just spin the whole thing 960 degrees, like 180 times 5. I don't even know if that's 960. It's probably 900. But anyway, so that was.
I was going to be very impressed then.
Just spin yourself 900 degrees and everything will be fine. I'll like it. I'm with you. But
exactly.
One of the things that I was thinking about, Phoebe, because we're obviously talking fast, both of us, is let's say you go into a business deal with somebody and you want to look at what a deal and deliver could look like. It's like there's kind of different bits and pieces to it. Like you can have a contract with each other, you can have signed things, but it's also the conversation.
Exactly. And look, we're going to a break now. I'm going to come back from the break and we're going to hear more from Mr. Jonas Svensson from Sweden. Thanks for joining us here on OMTimes, Joy of Business.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Circle of Hearts Radio is the sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM-FM.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Joy of Business. Such a short break, and we had so much to say. And it is funny, Jonas commented how we were just talking so fast. Both of us tend to do that. But we have so many tools and so much information, and we get so enthusiastic about it. And one of the things that we love seeing in the world is people actually use these tools and change and have, someone today, I'm in India at the moment, by the way, in Mumbai, India, and someone today, I'm at one of Dane Hughes' classes, Being You Changing the World, and she came up to me at the end and said, "You must be exhausted." I said, "No," and she went, "Oh, I guess it's beyond exhausted." And I went, "No, it's not." And I said, "I'm going home from a meeting and I've got a radio show." It's like, you know what? I use the Access Consciousness tool. So it's like exhaustion does not have to be something of where I function from. She's like, "Oh." So to her, it looked like, "Oh, I'm traveling all over the world and I'm going to all these places. I must be completely exhausted." And it's like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. Because there is one amazing thing. Sorry, I'm just going to slip this in. Bars. I keep forgetting to talk about bars on these radio stations. You can go to bars.accessconsciousness.com or go to accessconsciousness.com. Find somebody, please. Find somebody to get your bars run. It's a hands-on process that we do in Access. And it's like 32 points on your head, touch lightly. It starts to erase all of those limitations, judgments, the places that you have, fixed points of view, thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Like if I was running Jonas's bars and we both sort of had the similar points of view, or fixed points of view, I should say, about money, then it starts to erase it for both of us as well. So it's one of the most relaxing, changing, like aha moments when you get your bars run. So if you've never heard of it, if it feels good to you, go to the accessconsciousness.com site and find someone locally that can run your bars. I beg you. So back to you, Jonas. What were we talking about with you with the business side of Deal and Deliver? Do you remember?
No. Yes, we were talking about just the example of if you're sort of setting something up with somebody, and I said that you can have contracts and stuff in between each other, but when you do set up a business deal, there needs to be a clarity, and it might be a conversation that needs to occur between you about sort of the expectations that you can have on each other, and it's sort of like sometimes similar to go into a marriage together, because sometimes if you go into a business with a business partner, you will actually spend more time than you will do with your partner anyway. But it's like,
that's
just
true.
having
Does your girlfriend think you spend more time with me than you spend with her?
Exactly, that's true. But it's really this piece of like just having the conversation. So what's your expectation of this business? What's your expectation of me? And what is my expectation of this business and my expectation of you? And it's so different, because if you don't have that conversation, it might probably show up in like 3 years. One of you are really bored like hell on this now and don't want to do it anymore, and the other person accuses you for destroying it because you are, etc., etc. But if you would have had a different conversation before you went into it, which would be the sort of deal and deliver and expectations you would have on each other, it can look so different, because you can really even go into it with a deal. Okay, we commit 100% to this, but let's also bring it up with each other when we think that this is not fun anymore, or whatever. That was a very simplified example, but still, like, what are we not saying to each other that creates this unclarity and bad deals in the future?
And you can run, what expectations and projections do you have of this business? What expectations, projections do you have of being in business with this person? Like, you could use someone's name. Like, if I went, okay, so what expectations and projections do I have of being in business with Jonas? Everything at that is time to Godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Or family. I mean, family is the most craziest place in the world that everyone thinks, oh, it's like family, this is great. And there's so many expectations and projections of who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be, where, when, how. So if you run that and even say, okay, so all the expectations and projections put upon myself, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. And if you look at the energy, it's like, how many expectations and projections does somebody else put upon you, and how many do you put upon yourself? It's like, is it more or less for someone else or for you? And it's like, quite often we have so many expectations of ourselves and projections, and then we don't fulfill them. So what do? We start to judge ourselves, living in a world of judgment. And it's like, you know what? You've got to stop. You've got to get out of judgment so you can have that spherical awareness of possibilities. What were you going to say?
I was going to say that. I hope everybody heard that, because that's such an important piece to it for us to get out of the judgments of. So I think that the awareness that you gave me when you said that, Simone, is really what we have been talking about. When you do not create a clear platform based on a deal and deliver before, it's all set up to end up in that world of judgment.
And also, so you brought up something for me too, which is funny. I've got this deal at the moment, right? So deal and deliver. And I've currently got the Joy Business book translated into 6 different languages. Now, I paid for all the translations. I paid for all of that. I published with ACP, Access Consciousness Publishing, for the English versions, and I'm quite happy to look for the foreign language version somewhere. So in Turkey, someone wanted to publish my book. Now, they're not a publishing company. They wanted to start one. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's talk about it. Let's have a look. It's taken a long time for her to get this together, and she doesn't speak English, and I really like her. And this whole thing. In the interim, I've had 2 people contact me and say, one of the biggest publishing companies in Turkey, wanting to sort of negotiate and have a look and see if they could publish my book. So I'm like, what do I choose here? And I started to, for a nanosecond, I started to go, I have to go with this other person because I've already said I would, and I actually really like her. And then I went, oh, wow, that didn't feel very expansive for the book. So then what I started doing was, if I took my, whatever you want to call it, your feelings, emotions, expectations, projections, out of the picture, and I wasn't looking at it with what I've decided that I had to do, and I asked the question of like, what would the book desire? What would the book in Turkey desire? What is going to create more for the future in Turkey than what would I choose? So I'm still looking at that, and I'm still asking those questions, but I sort of took out that place of like, I'll do this deal with this person because I like them. And how many of you do deals with people because you like them, rather than actually choosing something that's going to expand your business, expand your money flows, expand the future possibilities? And I mean, for me, what matches the energy of changing the world? What matches the energy of every single person in the world, having the access consciousness tools available to them to choose something different, to be happy? So everything that doesn't allow that to show up, I'm processing myself now, destroying uncreative. Right, wrong, good and bad, talk and pot, all names, shorts, boys and beyond. But that's the thing, that's how it works. It's like just because Jonas and I use the access consciousness tools, we've been, using these for years and doing all that, there's nothing about getting it right. It's like you have these tools available so you can continuously, open your toolbox and go, okay, so what am I choosing today? If I was creating my reality, creating my business, what would I choose today? What deals would I make with myself? What am I willing to deliver? Which is one of the things that we have to talk about is the delivering part of it as well.
It is the delivery, yeah. And also that part of like, it's just another reason why a deal and deliver is so important, because none of us are perfect, and the target sort of shouldn't be perfectionism either. So if that's not clear, that will also create some shit. Because, as you said, like, life and business is an ongoing motion and process, and things change as you go along, and there needs to be that space for the possibility for things to change. Otherwise, it will just be a big limitation, like the example that you just brought up.
And giving people choice. I mean, one of the things that I was having a conversation with Gary recently, and I was asking him about, doing when you're hiring staff and you do hey, this is your job, this is the deal sort of thing. And I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at hiring someone and going, right, you must do this, this, and this, and this is your job. I'm much more better. That's good English, isn't it? better at hiring someone based on the energetic possibilities of what they can create and keep asking them questions of what they will create. And sort of, I mean, there's one person in Australia who I absolutely adore, and there's a project that she's working on that was supposed to be finished last August. Sort of like, okay, instead of sort of going, well, you're a little bit late, it's like, it's actually going to turn out to be wonderful, and the time spent on it is going to be amazing, and what she's done in the interim has given her more information. So the deal was that it was finished last August. It's probably going to be launched this August, so that's a year late. But you know what, instead of going, okay, so that wasn't the deal, that didn't work out, and negating it, I'm like, okay, so what has this created? And it's going to be a far greater launch of this project than what it could have been. So you've got to be willing to sort of be lenient and not control it so much, because a list of what someone must do is pretty much about control. And it's like most people don't deliver from a list. Like, how many times have you been given a list and you're really good at ticking them off? Or do you get to, there's 20 things on the list and you tick 3 or 5 and you feel really good about it, and you get to 6 or 7 and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm so bored, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like most people won't deliver the list, but what they will deliver, if you give them the chance, is they'll deliver more. Because if you hire people based on their awareness and ask them, keep asking them, it's like, what possibilities are available that we've not yet instituted? It's like, what awareness do you have about this project? What awareness do you have about this product or about this service? And ask them a question. How would you do this? How would you choose this? Who would you call? Because you don't have to know everything. And it's like, that's why you hire people, to have the awareness. So the deal and deliver, though, if you give them more sort of scope so that they have more choice, then you'll end up having a way easier business. You'll probably end up earning more money. They'll earn more money. And guess what? You guys will be happy.
At least if you choose to. But I think that's a really important part of this whole thing too, is that piece of how you actually set up the deal and deliver to create what you desire, and what the target with the deal and deliver is, and also what the target is with the business, because sort of either you can set it up for limitations or for possibilities.
Exactly. Limitations or possibilities? What would you like to choose? So we'll be back real soon with more of Jonas and Simone on Joy of Business. Thanks for joining us here on OMTimes.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community. Simone Milasas would like you to know that business can be fun, which is why she wrote the book, Joy of Business. What if you could have the joy of business rather than the stress and struggle? Most of the time, the only thing stopping you from a thriving business is you. In the Joy of Business book, Simone gives you access consciousness tools and pragmatic ways to get out of your own way and to create the business, life, and living you know is possible and beyond what this reality says is achievable. Business is joy. It's creation. It's generative. It can be the adventure of living. You can purchase your copy of the book through Amazon or Joy of Business website, www.accessjoyofbusiness.com. Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hey everybody, we're back. with Joy Business. You're with Simone Milasas and Jonas Svensson. Jonas is you're in Sweden right now, are you?
No, I'm in Dublin. I'm in Dublin.
You're in Dublin. Nice. So he is Swedish, but he's actually living in Dublin. We did a deal with him. See, deal and deliver. We Access just opened up a company in Ireland, and we needed someone to go move there and be one of our directors, etc. And so Mr. Svensson stepped in. So he's having a lovely time living in Dublin.
There we go.
And I am in Mumbai, India at the moment. So we're very grateful. Hey, I just wanted to mention too, this is my, I know you get adverts in between all of our little segments, but I am having the only Joy Business classes this year in the USA that I'm doing, and you can find them on accessjoybusiness.com. It's in Houston, so I'd love to meet any of you guys that are listening to the shows. It's in Houston on the 30th and the 31st of August, and then the 1st of September. So 3 days you can come to Houston and join us there. We've got some fabulous hosts who will make sure you have a good time. And you can also jump on live stream. So if you are anywhere in the world listening to this, you can actually join up live stream as well. What does that mean? What's the deal? You can watch it, you sign up, and you can watch it on your computer, on your TV, etc. I think there's a few pods. What's a pod? What's the deal? You join a whole bunch of other people in someone's house or at a venue or something like that and have fun. And you can send in questions, etc. as well. So I'd love anyone to come and join us for the Joy of Business classes. They're called Access Business 101 is a 1 day, and Access Business 102 is the 2 day. So come and play with us. Okay, one of the tools I wanted to bring up with, which Gary Douglas actually mentions, he does these deal and deliver calls. He's got some telecalls that he did. And actually, I'm going to come back to that. I was just thinking, because you spoke about, just before we went to the break, Jonas, about the limitations, like what creates the limitations and what creates possibilities. And there's a huge difference in that, obviously. And it's like most people say that they would love to create possibilities, yet what they constantly do is create limitations. And it's like, what is it that we could explore with that?
And it's funny though, because you were on your way to a tool, which I sort of, I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure what the tool is, because she's writing to me at the same time.
Because I was going to say, because I put it in a Skype thread. No,
she's a woman.
Like if you are.
So, but if you really, if you, let's bring that tool in, Simone, because I think that tool is all about getting the information and the awareness that is actually required.
Okay, I won't hold it back then. So one of the tools I wanted to talk about was, it's one of my favorite lines, is if you've got a deal and deliver happening, right, and something's occurring, anything in business, anything at all in business, instead of doing this place of confrontation, like and going, why did you do this, or why did you choose that, or what's that for, or getting angry or harsh or anything like that, what if you ask a question? And if you ask a question, as in, and say, hey, like if I was dealing with something with Jonas, and I'm like, hey, Jonas, I'm confused here, okay? I'm confused here. I need some help. What's going on with this project, or what happened here, or, can you give me more information about, why you chose this? And it's like, so what you're doing is, rather than if I went and I went, Jonas, what the hell did you do here? Like, or why is that happening? And it's like the different energy is, what does he have to do on the second one? He has to defend. He has to go to defending if you confront. So how many times do you use confrontation thinking that you're going to try and solve something rather than actually asking a question? And I love it because you put it into the photo, hey, Jonas, I'm confused. So what does Jonas have to do? Okay, so he has to help me. Now, help is the play, and I say, I'm confused, I need some help, okay? Help is a form of, superiority. It's like, so I'm being the one who's not superior, and I'm giving that to Jonas saying, I need some help because I don't have the information, I'm confused. So what information can you give me? Because if you want to have a confrontation, like, does that actually work for you? And it's like, yes, there are some people out there who love a confrontation. But if you're willing to be vulnerable, and it is about being vulnerable and come from that place of like, hey, I'm confused. And we use it on each other all the time. It's like, and you sort of chuckle about it because it's like, it's a tool, but it's like, hey, I'm confused. I need some help. So it's like, what's going on here? Or, you know, how come you did this? Or can you give me more information on this? So great tool. I'm confused. I need some help.
And that is something that you truly can use in creating clarity and setting up the deal and deliver too, because if you have hidden information or hidden expectations when you do a deal and deliver, that will always come and bite you in the ass afterwards.
And not a good bite on the bottom.
Exactly. And you know, most of the places where problems is created, or whatever we want to call it, or conflicts are created, is because there is lack of information. So it's really a tool to turn around the energy, to get the information that is required for you to actually get what actually was going on, to get more clarity, and also open up that space where you two or three or how many ever together can actually create something different that would work instead of the thing that is going on at the moment that doesn't work.
And what if you never had to be confused, yet were willing to be confused? Now, What do I mean by that? And it's like that willingness to sort of say, hey, I'm confused, I need some help. But you actually never had to have confusion. Because the one thing I see happen all the time in business is when people get weird and funky, they usually just need more information. And that's all it is. And it's like there's no reason to have the limitations as you talked about, because it's like that is what creates limitations. If you get all weird and funky and it's like instead of going, okay, what is this? Which creates possibilities, what Jonas was talking about, which is brilliant. It's like how many of you are creating limitations rather than creating possibilities? And everything at that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So what's an example of that? It's like, I mean, what I can come up with is, say, money. And it's like, you know, if you've got bills to pay and you've got to do stuff, and it's like the second that you go to, oh, we don't have enough money, or I don't have the money to do that, you've just created a limitation. Now, what could you do? You could ask a question and go, oh, wow, I would love to create that. I'd love to have that. I'd love to be that. I'd love to, buy that, purchase it, whatever it is. It's like choose that. And it's like, what would it take? You create a possibility. So you've got to look at asking questions to create possibilities every time you go to, you know, what we spoke about before, the expectations, the projections, the judgments. You create a limitation. And it's like, how comfortable are you creating limitations, and how uncomfortable does it get creating possibilities? I mean, there's not that many people out there in the world, I'm sorry. Have a look at your friends and family that are like, woohoo, go create as many possibilities as you desire. Why don't you just leapfrog and, you know, play leapfrog with everyone you know and be the greatest possibility there is available to the planet?
Yeah.
Most people sort of go, well, don't you need to relax? Aren't you exhausted? When are you going to stop? When are you having a holiday? Don't you get time off? That's what I always get. And I'm like, really? I feel like every day is a holiday. And it's like I get to travel all over the world, and yes, I'm working all the time, and I love it. I'm changing people's lives. I'm assisting with that. I'm having so much fun. I'm, you know, creating more on the planet, and it's like I don't need a holiday from that. So it's like, where are you creating limitations rather than creating possibilities, and everything that is? And just ask every day. Look at something and go, okay, so if you have a weirdness about money, go, am I creating a limitation or am I creating a possibility? If you get creating a limitation, don't go to judgment. Then be like, okay, so what would it take? What question would I need to ask to create a possibility here? And everything, it doesn't matter to show up, destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. And if you can't remember that clearing statement, just say pock and pod, or just say everything that lady and that man on the radio station were talking about, whatever it is. It's about energy. It's about changing the energy.
It is really and let's just go to that part about like the questions, because the questions is really how you create and how you create something that will be clear and have a space and have a possibility to it that you can actually expand into. And so just like you need to be aware that everybody you will work with or have in your life or create a deal with or a deliver with is also different. And that's where you need to start to go to the question directly. So how does this person function? Where do they come from? What's important for them? What is important for me with working with this person, etc. So you get more information. And one example is that I was meeting a lady in Dublin probably 2 months ago now that was going to help working with us in our company Access Consciousness with our financial side in Dublin. And we were sitting there having a conversation and looking at it, but not super great. And I was in my head, like constantly, like probably 100 questions per second about like, what is this? What is this? Does that mean? What is this? Etc. And then suddenly I asked her the question, so what's your point of view about money? And her answer was, the purpose of money is to pay bills. And then I got the information.
Bam! Yeah, exactly. You got more information.
I got the information and the awareness that I was sort of asking for and was required for me, because I knew instantaneously that then this person and making a deal and deliver with this person will always end up in limitations for us in the future, where we were looking for a person that would create possibilities with us for our future. So that's just an example of like, you need to keep on asking questions so you get the information and awareness you're looking for.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, Jonas, because I know that story that you just told, and then you also told me that recently you think you've just found someone that we could work with. So what did you recognize in them that was a possibility and not a limitation?
Cool. That is a really great question. And first of all, I just have to tell everybody that it's more of a sense than solidified answers that is creating a conclusion that this is great. And at the same time, we were having this conversation where, first of all, she actually asked a lot of questions, and we'll be back after the break, I guess.
We will be. We're always leaving with you with a cliffhanger. So we'll be back soon. Joy Business, Jonas and Simone.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
The Laying On of Hands Healing Radio Show is about treating the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. Join me, Charles Smith, as I share life-balancing measures such as nutrition and spiritual practices to help you take charge of your own health and wellness every Thursday at 7 p.m. on OMTimes Radio.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Joy Business. You're with Simone Milasas and Jonas Svensson. I think it's straight back over to you, Jonas, because we left that at the break and people are probably like, what was he about to say?
What was I saying? It was about the interview. So the other day I met another person, and what actually occurred was that she was a totally different energy. First of all, she was excited about life. She was excited about the possibility of finding out more in our universe. She had done she had done some research, and she already had sort of an awareness of the energy that we be, and she was asking a lot of questions about that. And then as soon as I asked her a question about something, it was always the energy of like, oh, yeah, that could be fun. That could be fun to do. And yeah, no, I'm willing to do more or less whatever. And that's the moment where you need to go, is that congruent with what she's meaning, or is it something else? And then I asked my fun question too, what your point of view is about money. And she had, let's just say, she had a totally different energy and point of view around that, because she thinks that money is fun, and if you create money, you can do a lot of fun things, and the more you create, you can do even more fun things, and then you can have even more fun. And that was a very, very different energy. And also, she asked really good questions, and when I gave her sort of the information from my end of what that could look like, it wasn't a definition I gave her, and she still went on, maybe it could look like that, and maybe it could look, maybe we could do something like that. But there's ways to handle that. Okay, so I guess you really are in the question. So it was such a different energy, and for me, looking for a possibility to develop and create from, that was different. So that would be my take on that. I hope that explained anything.
No, it's great, because it really does look at the place of, like, I mean, I love that you brought that in. It's like, are you creating limitations or creating possibilities? Because there's a couple of things there that I really want people to get that you were talking about. And one is like the questions and having someone willing to play with you and then willing to play with you and ask questions and be that energy. And the other thing that you said is, it's like looking at the energy and the words that come out, and are they incongruent? Because it's like, so often people will be like, yes, I love to do this, or I love doing, blah, blah, blah. I love having money. And it's like, and they hate it. And it's like, so you've got to be willing to have a look at the energy of where someone is functioning from. And even ask, you don't have to ask this out loud. I actually recommend that you don't ask it out loud. But even ask in your head, it's like, okay, so, what secret agenda do they have here? Because most people have some sort of agenda. They have a secret agenda, and they think they don't, but they do. And it's like, so even ask, in your head, it's like, okay, so what would it take for all the truths and the lies to show up here? Because if you're in business and you're going to cut a deal with someone, and you're going to, employ someone, you're going to go work with someone, and it's like, whatever that may be, and it's like, ask for the truth and the lies to show up. And everything that doesn't allow that to show up, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. And have a look at the energy of where someone is functioning from. And it's like, that's a really good place to start. And, I mean, some of the questions you can ask too, and it's like, I mean, one of my favorite questions, if you're actually going to employ someone, you're going to do a deal and deliver, is ask them, what's the one thing that I should have asked you that I didn't? Or what's the one thing that you need to tell us that we haven't told you? Because people end up telling you stuff. Like, they'll be like, I'm really bad at being on time. Or, or they'll tell you something that they don't want to tell you, yet they're, bringing it up. So you have the information. It's like, you know what, who cares? You have the information. They may not be on time, but they may be brilliant at their job. So it's like, are you creating a limitation or a possibility by creating the solidity of something that they've judged is, quote unquote, bad or not conducive? And everything that is times a gazillion, where you destroy and uncreate it.
I'm in.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So Jonas, this is our last segment. What else we got?
Exactly. That was exactly where I was going. Because thanks for asking that question about the interview, because it gave me a lot of awareness, and I learned a lot today again, which is awesome. And it's the piece before, so sort of almost like a step before the deal and deliver. That's where you need to go to yourself and look at and ask yourself questions. Okay, so what are you desiring to get out of this? What is it you desire to create with this? And if you have a clarity of that, and again, I'm not talking about a long list of definitions of right and wrongs and answers that is perfectionism down to a fine science. I'm more talking about the energy of what's your target with this and what do you want it to look like? Because if you are looking for something that is going to be black and white, it will exclude a lot of things. But if you're willing to attach it to your target and the energy that you want to create and be it to show up as, you will have a totally different platform when you go into a conversation about a deal and deliver or writing a contract for that matter, that will it will be easy for you to sense that part of the congruency and incongruency.
I'm just laughing because, I just did the first Joy Business Facilitator training ever, and it was in Australia. It was fantastic. I had so much fun. And I have a contract, right? And it's like, but the contract is basically, it's so that people are clear on what is required of them, like if they have to pay royalties or sending in their class lists and stuff like that. And I got a friend of mine, Glenn Endhouse in New Zealand, to write it up for me. I mean, he studied law for, 3 years, but he's also got a great sense of humor. And one of the pieces in the contract we wrote was, you can't be a dick. And it was like, what is that? And we gave this description of it, and it's so funny. And I was like, great, because I wanted it to be funny, because it's like, it doesn't have to be this, like, terminology of making sure that people can't understand what the hell's going on. It was just like, no, I want this to be fun, and I want it to be clear, and I want you to have fun. So how do we create that? What are we going to create? So, that's part of my, so if you see any Joy Business Facilitators out there being a dick, let me know, okay?
It should be in all contracts, I think, in all deals, all business deals, all relationships deals, and all marriage deals. It should be stated.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And hey, one of the tools I wanted to add too is when you were talking and you're asking, asking the person, like, what do they desire, what's their target, etc. I can actually, a manipulative tool, and if you're not willing to manipulate, you'll end up being manipulated, is to ask truth before you ask a question. Now, again, you don't have to say that out loud. It's like ask it in your head. It's like be truth in your head and go, what do you truly desire from this? Because it's like this universal law. If you ask truth, people will end up telling you the truth, or it will become very obvious to you that they're not telling the truth. I mean, if you look at it with a kid and in your head you say truth, and it's like, did you take the cookies from the jar? And they're like, no. And everything about that energy is screaming, yes, I did, And it's like, so you just have more information. And it's not about trapping people. It's not about, judging people or creating anything like that or separation. It's just about awareness. Again, back to that, are you willing to have the spherical awareness of possibilities, and everything that doesn't allow that to show up, will you destroy and uncreate it? Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
I love that tool, and in the interview that I had the other day, I was actually using that tool a lot. And one of the questions that I truly used it on was, because for me it's really important that I can contact a person whenever. Sort of. I mean, I do have full respect for that people are sleeping, but I also don't want to have.
Do you, Jonas? Do you really? Come on.
I also don't want to have a reaction if I'm asking a question in an appropriate time, because that's not fun and it's not creative. And one of the things I was asking, so what is your point of view on if I would ask you about something at 9:30 p.m. on a Friday evening when you're sitting there with your family? And I did ask truth in my universe because this was sort of important for me. It's not because I will constantly ask that person to go and do stuff for me when she's sitting having family dinner, but you would like to be able to connect if it's required. And so I asked truth, and that helped me to see if the answer that came back was congruent, and that is so helpful. And her answer was so honest. It was just like, No, that's absolutely no problem, and I hope it's fine that I'm not always leaving my family if you need me, but it's absolutely fine. But it's absolutely fine. And when she gave that answer, it was both honest, and she was actually willing to say what was, and it was also very light what she said. So that's absolutely fine with me. I'm not expecting anybody to do whatever I or somebody else want 24/7. That's not the case.
I love it.
It's more about if she's willing to receive something.
I love it, Jonas. It's a great story. Years ago, a company I worked with, someone said, Simone called me on a Sunday. I was overseas. I don't think she realized it was a Sunday. And my business partner was like, oh, yeah, she probably didn't realize, but she wouldn't have cared if it was a Sunday or not. It's like that never made any sense to me. It's like, I'm like, what? Things aren't open on a Sunday, or is it bank holiday? Why is that? It's like, I'm ready to create. So we're almost at the end of our show today, Jonas. So before that music starts playing and we go, we're in the middle of a story. I really want to thank you for coming here today. I love working with you. I love that I get to play with you and that we get to create around the world. So thank you so much. If anyone would love to find out more about Jonas, you can find him on accessconsciousness.com, Jonas Svensson, which is, if you're not from Sweden, it's more of an exotic name. Apparently, if you're in Sweden, it's not exotic. But you can find him on there. And I'm sure he's going to have some classes coming up soon. You can contact him for private sessions, etc. as well. And please go find someone, like I said, go find someone to run your bars or go to a bars class. And it's like, bars is one of the best things I've ever come across in my life. And it's like, bars pass is $300 for the day. You get to do bars twice. You get to run them twice. You get to watch a couple of videos, meet some cool people. And it's like, and you could even walk away being a practitioner. And it's like, so you could go and earn money running bars. So just another business deal for you. So thanks for joining us, Jonas, and we'll see you next time.